It's a normal morning. Your alarm goes off, you reach over to turn it off, and you notice something. The alarm stopped on its own. No, that's not it. The sound just faded because the power is gone. You sit up. The street outside your window is silent. Not quiet, Sunday silent. Completely silent. No cars, no distant hum of a city breathing, no planes. You walk to the window and the road is empty, and a single dog is standing in the middle of it, looking around, waiting for someone who isn't coming. Because overnight, every human being on Earth has simply vanished. Not died, not fought a war, just gone. 8 billion people, lifted out of the world in one quiet instant, leaving every door open, every engine off, every cage unlatched. The buildings are still here, the roads are still here, the animals are still here, but the thing that ran all of it, the thing that filled every corner of the planet, is suddenly missing. And here's the question that this whole video is about, the one that sounds simple but absolutely is not. The animals that are left behind. The dog in the road, the cows in the field, the deer in the forest, the fish in the sea, the rats in the city. Are they better off now? Did the most dangerous animal that has ever lived just do them the biggest favor in history by disappearing? It feels obvious, right? Of course they're better off. We pollute, we hunt, we pave over everything. Take us away and nature heals. That's the story everyone tells. But the honest answer is so much stranger than that. Because for some animals, our vanishing is the best thing that has ever happened, and for others it's a death sentence that nobody outside is even aware is happening. Let's walk through it, room by room, and see who's really celebrating tomorrow morning. Let's start with the obvious winners, the animals you're already picturing, the wild ones, the ones we've been pushing into smaller and smaller corners for 10,000 years. Think about a forest with a road running through it. Every day, cars move along that road. For the animals on either side, that road is a wall. Not a physical wall, but a wall of fear and danger. Studies of roads cutting through wild areas have found the same thing over and over. Animals avoid the edges. They don't cross. A family of deer on one side and a family of deer on the other might as well be living on separate islands because the strip of noise and speed in between is something they've learned to stay away from. Now the cars stop. Forever. Within days, that fear starts to fade because nothing bad is happening anymore. Within a few years, plants push up through the cracks in the road. Within a few decades, that road is a green strip, and the two forests are one forest again. The deer cross, the foxes cross. Everything that was cut in half becomes whole. And we actually have a real-life preview of this. There's a place on Earth where humans suddenly left, almost overnight, and never fully came back. In 1986, after the nuclear accident at Chernobyl, people abandoned a huge area around the plant. They left their homes, their farms, their whole towns, and an exclusion zone the size of a small country emptied out of humans. Now you would think a place soaked in radiation would be the deadest spot on the planet. But scientists who went back in to count the animals found something that genuinely surprised a lot of them. The zone is full of life. Wolves, more wolves than in nearby parks where humans still live. Wild boar, elk, deer, eagles, and even the rare wild horse, brought in and now running free. The radiation is real and it does harm individual animals, but it turns out that for the population as a whole, the radiation was less of a problem than we are. Remove the farms, the hunters, the roads, the cities, and the wild simply moves back in. The forest doesn't even hesitate. So that's the picture in your head, and it's a true picture. For big wild animals, for predators we've hunted, for everything that needed space and got squeezed, our disappearance is a gift. The walls come down, the poisons stop, the traps rust shut. Nobody is coming with a gun. For these animals, tomorrow morning is the first day of a long exhale that lasts for centuries. But now let's open the next door, and this is where the simple story starts to crack. Picture a chicken, not one chicken. Picture the chickens. Right now, at this moment, there are somewhere around 20 to 30 billion chickens alive on Earth. That's more than 3 chickens for every single human. They are, by a huge margin, the most common bird on the planet, and almost none of them are wild. They live in barns, in cages, in sheds, packed in by the thousand, and every single thing in their world is run by a machine that is run by a human. The food comes down a tube because a human set it up. The water flows because a pump is running. The temperature stays survivable because a fan is spinning, powered by electricity, watched over by a person. Now every person is gone. The power goes out like it did with your alarm. The fans stop. The food tube goes empty. The water stops flowing. Inside those sheds on that first silent morning, there are billions of animals that cannot feed themselves, cannot escape, and cannot survive more than a few days. We bred them, over thousands of years, into birds that grow so fast and depend on us so completely that most of them can barely walk, let alone fly off and live in the woods. They are not built for a world without us. They are built only for the world we made. The same is true for the cows. There are about 1.5 billion cattle on Earth. Many dairy cows have been bred to produce enormous amounts of milk, far more than a calf would ever drink. If a dairy cow isn't milked, the pressure builds up and she can get a painful, dangerous infection. For generations, we have bred them to need us to do that. Twice a day, every day. The morning we vanish, nobody comes to the milking shed. For these animals, our disappearance is not freedom. It's the start of something slow and terrible. So already the simple story is gone. Animals would be better off was never one answer, because there was never one kind of animal. There are the animals we pushed away and caged out of the wild. And there are the animals we pulled in and built our whole food system around. And removing humans does the exact opposite thing to each group. But let's keep going, because it gets even stranger, and the next room is one almost nobody thinks about. Let's talk about your dog, or the dog in the road from the beginning. Right now, there are around 900 million dogs on Earth, and most of them are not pampered pets sleeping on couches. Most of them live loosely around humans, eating our scraps, our trash, the food we leave out. They've done this for a very long time. The best evidence we have suggests dogs split off from wolves and started living alongside humans somewhere around 15 to 30,000 years ago, which makes them, in a real sense, the oldest companion we have. And across all that time, we changed them. We bred the dogs into hundreds of shapes, some of which can barely survive on their own. So what happens to the dogs the morning we leave? At first, chaos and hunger. The trash stops being made. The bowls stop being filled. A lot of dogs, especially the small ones and the ones we bred into strange shapes, won't make it. But here's the interesting part. Dogs are not chickens. Dogs are not helpless. Underneath the floppy ears and the soft fur, a dog is still mostly wolf. And the ones that can hunt, that can form groups, that can find their own food, will. Over many generations, free from us choosing who breeds with who, the dogs that survive will start to drift back toward a single, medium-sized, sturdy, sandy-colored kind of dog. We actually see this already, in dogs that have lived wild and free for a long time. Left to themselves, they slide back toward one practical shape. The poodles and the tiny lap dogs fade out, and something older comes back through. The same goes for cats. The world has hundreds of millions of cats, and a house cat is barely changed from its wild ancestor. A cat doesn't need us nearly as much as we like to think. Drop the food bowl, and a great many cats will simply go back to doing what cats have always done, which is hunt small things with terrifying efficiency. In fact, on that first silent morning, the cats are some of the least worried animals on the entire planet. So for these in-between animals, the ones that live with us but aren't fully dependent on us, our vanishing is a brutal sorting. A hard, hungry few years that kill off the ones we made too soft, and then a slow return to something wild and self-sufficient. Not a simple win. Not a simple loss. A filter. Now let's go to the next room. And this one I find genuinely unsettling, in a good way. Because so far we've been thinking about the animals we can see. The big, the furry, the familiar. But the real story of life on Earth isn't the deer and the dogs. It's the tiny things. The insects, the worms, the things in the soil and the water. And here, our disappearance does something nobody expects. You'd think bugs would be thrilled to see us go. No more pesticides sprayed across fields, no more bug zappers, no more windshields. And for a lot of insects, that's true, and it matters a great deal. Insects are in serious trouble right now in many places, and a lot of that is on us. So in the short term, taking the poison away helps. But here's the twist. Some creatures have hitched their entire existence to us, and to the warm, food-filled, sheltered world we built. There's a particular kind of mosquito, for example, that has adapted over a very long time to live almost entirely alongside humans. It breeds in the little pools of water we leave around our homes. It rests in our buildings. It feeds, by strong preference, on human blood. We are not just its victim. We are its whole habitat. The morning we vanish, the water containers dry up, the buildings go cold, and the blood, its main food, walks out of the world. This mosquito, which is one of the deadliest animals to humans in history, may itself crash hard when we go. And it's not just mosquitoes. Think about the animals that live in our houses, off our food and our warmth. Certain cockroaches, certain mice, the bedbug. The common bedbug has been with humans for so long that some researchers think it first started feeding on us back when we lived in caves tens of thousands of years ago. It is, in a strange way, one of our oldest travel companions. It rode with us out of the caves, into the villages, into the cities, around the entire world. And it lives on human blood and human beds in human heated rooms. When the heating dies and the beds go empty and we're gone, the bedbug is in deep, deep trouble. The animal that has fed on us for the whole length of our journey doesn't get to celebrate our exit. It follows us into the dark. So even down here, in the world of the small, there's no single answer. Some tiny things bloom the moment we leave. Others, the ones that tied their whole story to ours, fall with us. We didn't just build cities. We built habitats. And we filled them with creatures that now can't imagine a world without the warmth of our walls. I want to take you somewhere now that ties the whole thing together. And it's the part of this I find the most moving. Let's go underwater, because the ocean is where our disappearance might matter most of all. Right now, the biggest single thing humans take out of the wild ocean is fish, on a scale that's almost impossible to picture. We pull trillions of fish out of the sea every year. We've emptied out areas that were once thick with life. Big fish, the old giant ones, have become rare in a lot of places, simply because we caught them faster than they could grow back. The morning we vanish, the boats stop. All of them. The nets that stretch for miles go slack and sink. The hooks rust. And the ocean, for the first time in a very long time, is left completely alone. We have small previews of what happens next, in the patches of sea we've protected from fishing. In those protected patches, the fish come back, and they get bigger, and there are more of them, and the bigness matters because one giant old fish lays far more eggs than a small young one. Take the fishing away across the whole ocean, and over decades, the giants return. The reefs fill back up. The sea forests of kelp grow thick again because the animals that eat them are kept in balance by predators we'd stopped letting recover. The ocean, given enough time and enough silence, is one of the great winners of a world without us. And that's the heart of it, the thing all these rooms have been circling toward. Because look at the pattern. The wild animals we push to the edges, they win big, given time. The ocean wins. The forests win. The predators we hunted win. But the animals we pulled close, the ones we bred and fed and built our whole world around, the chickens and the cows and the soft small dogs and the bedbug in the wall, they lose fast and hard. And notice which group is bigger. There are tens of billions of farm animals on this planet that exist only because we made them, that are alive right now in numbers nature would never, ever produce on its own. Our vanishing doesn't just change the wild. It erases an entire artificial world of life that we created and that only we can keep running. The day we leave is, for a staggering number of individual animals, the worst day of their lives. And it's also, for the wild as a whole, the beginning of the greatest recovery the planet has seen in human history. Both of those are true at the same time. That's the answer that doesn't fit on a bumper sticker. So let me try to say the honest thing, the thing this whole walk has been building toward. Would animals be better off if humans vanished tomorrow? The instinct is to say yes, obviously. Look at all the harm we do. And the harm is real. We are, by a wide margin, the most powerful force the natural world has ever had to deal with. We have driven species to extinction. We have changed the climate. We have remade whole continents. If you're a wolf, or a tuna, or an old forest, then yes, a world without us is a world where you finally get to breathe. But animals was always the wrong word because it pretends they're all the same, and they're not. We didn't just sit on top of nature, crushing it. We tangled ourselves into it. We pulled some creatures in so close that they became part of us, dependent on us, shaped by us into things that can't live without us. We became the entire world for billions of animals, the way our houses became the entire world for a small brown insect that's been riding with us since the caves. You can't remove something that big and that woven in without tearing, and the tearing falls hardest on the ones who trusted us most, even though they never chose to. The wild doesn't need us. It never did. Given silence and time, it heals, and it's breathtaking how fast it starts. But the world we built, the warm artificial world of barns and bowls and heated rooms, that world needs us completely. And we are the only thing holding it up. So, back to that first silent morning, back to the empty street, the dead alarm, the dog standing in the middle of the road, looking around, waiting for someone who isn't coming. When we started, that dog felt like a victim of us, the leftover of a species that messed everything up and finally disappeared. But now, look at it again. That dog isn't waiting for the thing that ruined its world. It's waiting for the thing that was its world, the hand that fed it, the voice that named it, the warm room it slept in. We were the danger to the wolf in the forest, but to the dog in the road, we were never the danger, we were home. And that's the part the simple story never tells you. We are not only the asteroid. For an enormous slice of the living world, we are also the sun they grew up under. Take us away, and yes, the forest comes back, The ocean fills, the wild exhales for the first time in 10,000 years. But somewhere in an empty street, on a quiet morning that never ends, a dog keeps looking down the road, and the door it's waiting by is never, ever going to open. Both of those worlds are real. We were holding both of them in our hands the whole time, and we almost never noticed we were holding either one.